Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you're absolutely exhausted by diets, generalized cardio, and those endless basic squats that just never seem to get rid of the cellulite on your hips and glutes, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving into some absolutely fascinating source material that promises a permanent, science-backed solution to this exact problem. So let's jump right in. Here's our quick roadmap for the Explainer. We're going to cover the real cause of cellulite, fascia and muscle atrophy, the insulin and diet factor, the mind-muscle connection, and finally, the 4 targeted exercises. Section 1. The real cause of cellulite, beyond just fat. Okay, we really have to completely reframe how we view the female body here. By design, nature actually stores fat, specifically a highly concentrated omega-3 fatty acid, around the hips, buttocks, and thighs. It's not a flaw at all. It's actually a brilliant biological survival mechanism meant to fuel childbearing. But to fix the cellulite, we need a massive paradigm shift. You've got to ditch the old fat loss mindset. You know the one. Endless cardio, basic squats, agonizing over the scale. Throw all of that out. Instead, we need to adopt the science-backed strength mindset. This is all about activating specific glute muscles, rebuilding your fascia tissue, and focusing purely on strength. Because muscle is the metabolic driver that actually burns fat. If you don't strengthen it, the old methods are just going to keep failing. Section 2. Fascia and muscle atrophy, the biological wetsuit. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding atrophy. Atrophy is basically a loss of protein deep in your muscle fibers, but it's also a loss in the connective tissue, known as fascia. Think of your fascia like a contractile wetsuit that literally gives the female body its shape. Cellulite isn't just chunks of stubborn fat. It's really a combination of fat and the serious atrophy of this wetsuit. When you lose that muscle protein and the fascia loses its tone, well, everything just kind of sags. You lose strength and that fat becomes way more visible. But here's the great news. This wetsuit has contractile tissue, meaning it literally has the biological ability to tighten back up if you properly use it. Now, why is the number 3 so important? It's because you don't just have one glute muscle. You actually have 3 distinct ones, a deep one, a big one, and one on the side. Together, they hold your entire upper body erect as part of a massive kinetic chain connecting from your foot to your knee to your hip, all the way up to your back. And the number 1, absolute worst killer of this entire chain? The chair you're probably sitting in right now. Constant sitting completely inactivates all 3 of these muscles, and that causes some severe atrophy. So as we begin to fix this, you might start wondering, why are my clothes fitting looser, but the scale refuses to move? Remember, our whole goal here is rebuilding muscle to replace what atrophy took away, and muscle is heavier than fat by volume. So as you start regaining this crucial muscle strength, the scale might not even budge at first, but your clothes, they're going to start fitting much looser. Focus on your strength first, because if you're getting stronger, your metabolic wetsuit is absolutely coming back online. Section 3, the insulin and diet factor, fueling the metabolic engine. Let's follow this timeline to see exactly how this builds up. If you're consuming high amounts of carbohydrates, you're going to spike your insulin levels. High insulin actively blocks the rebuilding of muscle tissue, and it keeps chronic inflammation dangerously high in your body. The end result? Your fat stays trapped and literally marbleized right through your midsection and lower extremities. You simply cannot rebuild your biological wetsuit if your biological environment is just flooded with insulin. It's a complete roadblock. So, how do we clear that roadblock? Well, the source recommendation brings us to the number 23. If you are seriously dedicated, you need a low-carb diet combined with intermittent fasting. For maximum results, you want to aim for eating just 1 meal a day, effectively fasting for up to 23 hours. Doing this plummets your insulin, clears out the inflammation, and finally lets those muscles rebuild. Section 4, the mind-muscle connection, deliberate focus. Check out this amazing quote from the text. Arnold Schwarzenegger would use deliberate mental focus, visualizing a muscle improving when he worked out. Now, at first, you might think, come on, just thinking about it isn't going to do anything. But what's really fascinating is that the source highlights actual studies proving that visual intention matters. When you deliberately focus on emotion to create an effect, you actually see significant physical improvements. So, when you do these upcoming exercises, you need to visually picture your hips and buttocks getting stronger, getting tighter, and heavily envision your end result. Active visualization actually leads to active physical changes. It's pretty wild. Section 5, the 4 targeted exercises, the rebuilding protocol. The fundamental question here is, if normal squats aren't enough, and we definitely know they aren't because a lifetime of sitting has completely deactivated the glutes, how do we actually activate the entire glute chain? Well, we need very specific, targeted movements to combat all those years of atrophy. Here's your high-level roadmap. It's just 4 exercises. 1, the banded clamshell. 2, the banded glute bridge. 3, the lateral band walk. And 4, the deep squat with side shift. Let's break down the mechanics of each one right now so you can get to work. First up, the banded clamshell. You're going to place a resistance band just above your knees. Lying on your side, you slowly fan your top knee outward against the band, and then bring it slowly back down. This specific motion aggressively targets the outer part of your thigh and your hip. Now, a quick warning from the source material: if you've never done this before, it is actually really difficult at first. But stick with it because it specifically hits those stubborn outer problem areas that traditional squats miss entirely. Second is the banded glute bridge. Keep that same band just above your knees, but now lay flat on your back. You'll push your hips upward using very controlled movements. And here is the total secret to making this work. At the very top of the movement, you absolutely must contract your buttocks as hard as you physically can. Hold that intense contraction, then relax, bring it down, and repeat. Third, we have the lateral band walk. Standing up with the band still above your knees, you're going to take 4 to 5 slow, controlled steps to the right. Then take 4 to 5 slow steps back to the left. You just repeat this back and forth across the room. That deliberate, slow side-to-side motion is exactly what creates the deep toning on the outside of your thighs and the outside of your buttocks. Seriously, do not rush this one. Finally, the deep squat with side shift. You enter a deep squatting position and place your elbows right between your knees. From here, you slowly shift your body weight to the left and then over to the right. Because you're staying low in that squatting position while shifting, you are activating all sorts of long dormant muscles along that entire fascia chain. And as an added bonus, this specific side-to-side shift is also fantastic for alleviating lower back pain. Now, how do you know if this is all actually working? Try the atrophy test. Can you easily stand up from a sitting position in a chair? If you have difficulty with this simple, everyday motion, you likely have severe atrophy. Rebuilding functional strength is the entire point of this protocol. I highly encourage you to use this simple chair test as a daily benchmark to see exactly how your body is overcoming that atrophy. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly exciting thought. Are you ready to stop focusing on the scale, rebuild your biological wetsuit, and turn your muscles into a fat-burning engine? The science is incredibly clear. Lower your insulin, fast to reduce inflammation, visualize the muscle contracting, and strictly follow those 4 banded exercises to reverse the atrophy. When you change your paradigm from raw fat loss to targeted strength gain, absolutely everything changes. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Get out there, start waking up those glutes today, and I'll catch you next time.